we give it a minute or two to see if more colleagues join us rather than go back. I should say, as you can see from Kath's slide, PowerPoint slides, there are only 4 slides for this, and the last one says, "How's it going?" Basically, what's happening, and so I want you to know there's an immense amount of preparation gone into this from here. It's basically reminding myself as much as anything else. I need to give apologies for Ruth Drysdale, who can't be with us today, but the good news is I've said to her that any difficult queries that we can't answer, we'll send them to her, and that's the deal as far as we're concerned with Ruth. So we might be lining things up that way. We've got apologies from Lucy from Canterbury Christchurch, who's got to be in another meeting today, but apart from that, I'm not heard from others. So Gary,
yeah,
are you representing Swansea?
I guess so.
Okay, because the reason I'm asking is it Deborah Bath?
Deborah Bath, yeah.
Who we added to the list after the last meeting. I know he's doing work on badges.
She is doing some work on it. I haven't spoken to her. I haven't done anything on this actually since the last webinar we had.
Right, okay.
But she is somebody I need to speak to, and I need to speak to Grad-Intel as well, don't I?
I would think, yes. And we need to touch base with you at some point, yourself and Hugh, about what's happening with the postgraduate research here.
We're hoping to get that going early next session.
Okay.
So the coming session, 17-18, we're hoping to have that available to all research students via the new research assessment system that we're sort of going to be implementing at the same time.
Okay.
So within the next couple of months, we're hoping that it'll be live.
Great stuff. Okay, I know at one stage when we met in Manchester that Hugh was talking too about a possibility of a launch event. Sorry,
I wasn't. No. It's I'm intending to launch it in inverted commas through training events.
Yeah,
with the colleges and the students. So okay. That'll be where it'll be introduced.
Right. I think I thought we were talking about the possibility of telling people outside the university as well. That sort of
okay. I'd like it to be run inside for a few months first of all to see how it goes, really.
Yeah, you want to see how it. We don't want the kind of Apple iPhone thing from yesterday where facial recognition technology didn't actually work in the launch meeting or whatever it was. And,
yes.
And that was kind of what got reported. Yeah, fair enough. Okay. Given that it's now coming up to 22, maybe we should kick off. Sometimes that encourages more people to arrive. We'll see. Okay, thank you, Gráinne. Thank you, Ian. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Gary. Thanks, Kath, in the office for doing this. We had some weird and wonderful thing going on with the technology earlier on today, and I'm pleased that the internet is back and running. I just wanted to do 2 things at the start, and you should be able to see what's on the screen okay, I think. I wanted, as I said, as much for myself as anyone, just to remind us 2 things, really. One is we developed a scenario for how open badges might provide a mechanism for taking EAR data and making it available via a LinkedIn profile. And we circulated that, and I think I just want to emphasize the points there that kind of focus around, first of all, the notion that this is a working document and that it's very much, apart from that bit at the top, which I've actually just printed into that slide, which is talking about what the university does. It's pretty much centered on what the recipient, i.e. the student, is going to be doing as part of this process. And the other thing we did, which is the next slide, please, Kath. is to set up a task. And the task, which you should be able to see there, oops, it's taken off my screen, which wasn't very clever. I've got 3 bits to it. Okay, I've lost colleagues in terms of sound and.
I think I'm the only one left on.
Sorry, say again.
I think am I the only one? No, Ian's back.
Yeah, Ian's just cut back. Thanks, Joe. Yeah, I've lost Grania. I've lost Ian for a minute. His picture had gone, and the sound had gone.
Yeah, sorry, I just switched off. Sorry.
Okay, so sorry. So just to say, then the task. There is a kind of set of precursors which are listed there as A. Most institutions hold data digitally now, thank goodness. Most institutions, interestingly, and talking with Brad Intel about this, there's very few now that don't make this data accessible on an ongoing basis to students. 1 or 2 institutions still issuing HEREs as final documents, which is not the best thing to do in terms of getting a good return on your investment, but that's another issue. Then is the institution happy to do some work in this area? And perhaps crucially, which is one of the questions I asked Gary, because I know Deborah's involved in the digital badge world, and so the institution actually has a stake in the issuing digital badges. Interestingly, before today, I just did a bit of a trawl, and I reckon we've got at least 20-25 institutions that you can find via Google that are issuing badges or that are developing the interest in issuing badges, often though for technology enhanced learning or sometimes for digital literacy, but not necessarily in the area that we're interested in. One or two are looking at employability awards through badges and so on. And then there's the next bit, which I'm hoping is somewhere where we're up to, but in a minute the final slide will come up and I can shut up and Gary and Ian hopefully can say a little bit, and Joe, about where things are up to. And Grania might be able to help if we've got issues. So a group of students who have LinkedIn profiles, 2 or more, we don't want to take it institution-wide, and would be interested in trying this approach out. And trying it out, really. Those are the things that we're trying to do. So with that, Kathy, if we can move to what is my last slide, and I get a chance to shut up, and people can talk about what they are doing. And the aim was to invite people to give us some feedback today on progress, if there is any, issues, if there are any, and those issues might be technical issues, but there might also be practical issues. And I'm mindful of the oft-quoted messaging JISC conferences, which is, it's not the technology, it's the people. The technology sometimes works brilliantly, but sometimes the people don't keep up, or there are kinds of issues, and particularly in this kind of territory, I suspect there will be some issues which are people issues to do with security and anxieties about letting data out, which seems to be less under the control of the institute, even though we've specified the data will remain under the control of the student. So then the top bit there I think is crucial. It says over to each of you. We're a small group, but it would be good, I think, just to get a sense of how things are progressing or not progressing, and what we can do to support the work that you want to undertake in this phase of activity. We have got eyes on this meeting in December in London, and Ron, you might be able to say a bit more about that towards the end. But for now, I think if I shut up and perhaps invite Ian in particular to say a little bit about progress at West of Scotland, which it was good to see in the Times Higher list of top universities in the world, I have to say. But I'll shut up at this point turn my mic off. And Ian, do you want to say a bit about where things are up to with yourselves? Perhaps Joe as well. If you have some insights, that would be great. I'll turn my mic and I'll pass it over to Ian to start with, and then we'll see where we get to. Thanks, Ian.
Thanks, Rob, and thank you for your thinking about us and noticing us in the Times World institutions. We're certainly very happy about it. Where I'm at just now is that I've got a couple of students on board, and I've got the potential. We've actually got a number of awards that lend themselves to what we're trying to do here. So I've got a couple of students on board, but I've got a group of 6 potentials that are interested, and they've actually, as part of an award, an employability award, they've created LinkedIn profiles. So I'm working with them just to try and commit them to coming forward with this project. So I'm quite comfortable that we've got a small group, possibly up to 8, but I think really realistically probably about 4 that can come forward with the project. What I do have though is it's like we're in the position right now of where we're issuing final heres to our graduates and things like that, and we need to get over that step and into October when we're going to then start testing the sort of live version of our live access to our Digitary. So we see this as an opportunity to help with that, our testing processes as well, if that makes sense. So what I'm hoping to do is to bring forward this group of up to 8 people and use them to not only to work through this link with Open Badges, but also to do some testing on our sort of formative Digitary processes.
That sounds good. We've lost Joe.
Does that timescale work for you? Okay, that was my only sort of concern, that if you needed to get started sooner, I can't really do anything until mid-October.
No, I think that sounds. We have to make haste slowly, I think, if that helps.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it's brilliant that it actually fits with the university's interest, both in the digital badges world, but also in terms of making the HERE available on a formative, developmental basis. Because not least because we know that the key to student engagement with the HERE appears to be, from the figures that we've got, and Joe will have heard these in the advisory group meetings. The more HEREs are made accessible to students throughout the student life cycle, the more student engagement there is, which I think is fairly key. So, I mean, so a group of students, probably will whittle down that group in terms of the badges and LinkedIn, but that's and a sort of an October kickoff. I'm minded to think that we might reconvene as a group, hopefully on a better day for colleagues, in sort of early November, which sounds like it wouldn't be too much of a. That might be quite a useful thing to do, Ian.
That sounds perfect. That would give me the impetus to keep moving and keep pushing ahead in this, and I can use the time between now and October to sharpen my skills with Open Badges.
Yes. Are there issues, Ian, that you want to raise with us? I'm not sure, we may have lost Grania, but I'm happy to make the recording over. She's our badge expert, as it were. Ruth is our technology expert. I'm just a journeyman ex-academic.
I'm still here.
Yeah. Sorry, Grania.
Sorry, just to say I'm still here. I've just not got my webcam on.
Okay, great stuff. Ian,
I think I'm okay with creating Open Badges. I very quickly created one for myself, and I now proudly display an Open Badge on my own LinkedIn profile that I awarded myself. So the process of creating the badge is okay. I think I actually sat down today before the meeting to try and create a badge for a proper award that we have, and I found that I needed a wee bit more time to refresh my memory on how I'd done it in the first place. But I think as soon as I give some dedicated time to that, I'll be able to pick that up quite easily.
Fantastic. I mean, that sounds good. Joe, is there anything from your perspective that we need to pick up from? Sorry.
What I said is quite accurate. I think we are where we are, and I think our issue is not necessarily technical, more sort of perhaps process orientated. So in terms of this fits into a whole series of other processes that we perhaps need to try to speed up a little bit, and also the development of the here generally. So we are still progressing it, but it's perhaps a little bit slow. But I actually think that the advantage to this is it does give us the opportunity to keep the pressure on and to actually help the development as a whole. So it's actually really quite useful, I think, as a tool to help us keep everybody moving in the right direction.
Great stuff. Okay, and it occurs to me, Joanne, and maybe Gary as well, that if this works as a kind of demonstrator almost project, that you would have 4, maybe 5 or 6 students around whom some publicity could be generated, which would be of interest to other students.
That would be really useful, and I think Craig would quite like that. Anything that is able to create a positive message around this, and actually to promote the here as well, and a good case study, I think, would be excellent.
Yeah, I mean, it's about the nice thing in this is it's about using the here rather than just generating the here, if you see what I mean. It's actually getting potentially some tangible benefit out of it.
Yes, yes.
Fantastic. Okay, Ian, it sounds like things are moving along quite positively, and that sort of getting back together in November time would be a good thing to, or not an inappropriate thing to do, and might just, act as a useful kind of waypoint that we can reference in terms of taking work forwards.
Yeah, I think it'll be a nice milestone for me to make progress to that date.
Okay, fantastic. Good, thanks, Joe. Gary, do you want to say anything from a Swansea perspective? I appreciate what you said earlier about not having spoken with Deborah, but also you've got some of the ingredients in place already with Grad Intel, Grad Intelligence, I think I'm supposed to call them, rather than Grad Intel, and the here is available electronically, it's available digitally. So it's a question, in a way, of joining those connections, I guess, with the people in Swansea that have got an interest in the badges world.
Yeah, I mean, we are more advanced in terms of the here and how accessible it is. So it is a case of using that sort of to link up with the other people on campus then that are able to, with the technical know-how then, so. My feeling is that if we do get together, I think we'll make progress quite quickly.
Yes.
I think the various parts are in place. We need to join them up together. So I think November time sounds good to me. We haven't approached any students, but I guess Debbie would have far more contact with students than I would. So she'd be a good person to speak to in terms of that. I understand Grad Intel have already got a link up with LinkedIn.
Yes.
So I need to speak to them about creating a badge out of their here. Are they already? I think they've spoken to me in the past about doing that. So I don't know whether they've been progressing that without in their own time, should we say? So there may be some progress there to report, or maybe something in place there already that we can just latch onto. But in terms of then the individual awards, having a badge, that's something I need to speak to Debbie about. But I think the parts are all in place. We just need to pull it together a bit, well, more than it is now. So
this might be a catalyst to action then.
Well, it needs something, yes. I think anything to raise the profile of the here within students and staff is a good thing. So it is growing slowly in terms of awareness, but it needs. If this can be made to work, then it'll be a good boost, I think, overall.
Okay, that's good. I think there's an interesting similarity of messages from both institutions about visibility and making use of the here as opposed to simply generating heres. And we've got lots of data about how many millions of heres we've generated. we wanted to demonstrate they actually have a tangible benefit to, ultimately, to students and graduates. Okay, I'm just wondering, colleagues, I mean, this all sounds brilliant. I mean, there might be another 10 institutions who can't do it, we're not going to come on the call, but I'm wondering about a couple of things, really. One is this event in London, and Gráinne, I don't know whether you can say a little bit about that in a moment, given that you're fairly central to it, I think. But I do wonder if I mean, London's a long way away from the west of Scotland, and actually it's not that good for Swansea either. I don't know how the day is structured, and Gráinne, you may be able to help us with that. But I do wonder actually if at the very least, some virtual contributions to that meeting, which at least provide an update on progress in this area, would be appropriate if colleagues, or more accurately, if students couldn't get to London on the 1st of December. Yeah, I was just tying up the two thoughts there. One which I had earlier. One is distance to travel and cost, but also getting something where the students talk a bit about their experience in engaging with this idea, and what they've been doing seems to me to be quite powerful locally for institutions, but also maybe a contribution to this meeting. So, Gráinne, can you say anything about this meeting? Because I think what I've got on the screen, which I got from Ruth, is pretty much all I know.
Yeah, I'm afraid I don't really know much more than that either. So yeah, I can't say much more about it. I know that IMS are potentially going to invite Credley to talk at it as well. I don't know then whether that means they'll be coming in from virtually from America. So I certainly can feed back that there would be the suggestion of doing some remote feed-in. I'm sure that would be welcomed. So yeah, if people are interested in doing that, perhaps I don't know if you'd want to collate something, Rob, or if people want to just send some ideas to me, that's fine. Jisk and Petrina as well, from Petrina Law from the OU, are also involved in developing the agenda for the day. So clearly that this would fit with their areas of work as well. So I don't see why that would be a problem, and I think it would actually be really good to get some live examples from the sector. Would be great. So yeah, happy as I said to feed that back.
Great stuff. I mean, maybe if we fix a call for early November, we can see what's likely to be feasible, if that will be okay. Gráinne,
yeah,
do you think
sure.
that's planning with an intent to provide something, but we need to make sure it's really doable, and it will probably be a work in progress. Be important to say that, I think. Yeah,
I think, and I mean, people want to hear about what are the challenges, what are the things that are working, what are the things that are needed, particularly given, the fact that this is in collaboration with IMS. They'll want to be hearing about what is needed for, future versions. So yeah, I think it's a good opportunity to have a focus like that.
Okay, fantastic. Right. Colleagues, are there other things that you wanted to say in this meeting that we haven't said so far, other than it would be nice to hear from other institutions, and I'll chase up the other institutions after this call? Silence is going to be taken as consent. We'll circulate a doodle poll for a meeting then in the first couple of weeks in November. I'll do that, or Kath probably will do that actually, and see if we can find a date which is good for folks. I'm sad we didn't have more people on this call, but actually I think it's the right thing to do, is something at the start. Last year seems an awful long time ago, and it seems very close. Because I think about 90-something shopping days left or something horrible. We'll let that pass by. Okay, I think we're done then, if that's all right with colleagues. Can I thank Gráinne? Can I thank